Okay, so for section 3.1, we are going to create a picture with a transversal in it. So this is a new vocabulary word. So a transversal is a line that intersects two or more lines in a plane. So the plane is going to be my paper, and I'm going to make two lines, but I'm not going to make them parallel. Eventually we'll make them parallel. Right now we're just going to make them not parallel. And then I'm going to create a transversal. So this is the new vocabulary word. This transversal is a transversal because it is a line that intersects two or more lines in a plane. So that's going to create angle pairs. Okay, so we are going to name these angle pairs all the same so that we can come up with the pairs that go with the names. So we're going to start up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down here, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now we've created 8 different angles, and then we're going to talk about angle pairs. Okay, so the very first thing you want to picture is whether the angles are on the interior of the lines or the outside of the line, so interior or exterior. So if I grab 2 pins and I lay them like this, then it's very obvious who are on the insides of my lines. So if these are my lines, then on the inside, nice and cozy and warm, will be 3, 4, 5, and 6. And it doesn't matter what order you list them in, but your interior angles are angle 3, angle 4, angle 5, and angle 6. So same idea, if I am in a house and that's the inside, then the exterior of the house is on the outside. So notice 1 and 2 up here, and notice down here 8 and 7 are cold outside. They're on the exterior of the lines. So you'll call them exterior, angle 1, angle 2, angle 7, and angle 8. So that's just a basic interior versus exterior. Okay, now we're going to learn different pair names based on the picture. So we're going to start by looking at corresponding angles. Okay, here is the description for corresponding. First of all, the abbreviation will eventually be CA, we'll call them. They are in the same position relative to the 2 lines. So they're going to be the same side of the transversal. One will be inside and one will be outside. All right, so let's look for pairs where that happens. So my transversal is here. I need same side, 1 in, 1 out. So here's 1 in, and here's 1 out, and here's the transversal. So same side, 1 in, 1 out. So we're going to have angle 1 and angle 5, comma. Same side of the transversal, 2 and 6, 1 in, 1 out. So angle 2 and angle 6 is another pair. And then over here, same side of the transversal, we've got 4 and 8, 4's in, 8's out. So angle 4 and angle 8. And then the last pair would be angle 3 and angle 7. Those are called corresponding angle pairs. They come in pairs, and they're called corresponding because they correspond in position where they sit. They're on the same side of the transversal, but they sit like in the corners together, but one's in, one's out. Okay, next pair are the alternate interior angles. Eventually we will call them AIAs. We're going to start with just alternate interiors. So their description is on opposite sides of the transversal, but both inside. Notice because it says interior. So this alternate means opposite sides of the transversal, and interior means inside. So opposite sides inside. So there are only 2 of these. So angle 4 and angle 6 are on opposite sides of the transversal, both in. And the other pair would be angle 3 and angle 5. Those are called alternate interior angles. So angle 4 and angle 6 and angle 3 and angle 5. So the third type of angle pair we're going to look at is alternate exterior angles. They will eventually be called AEAs for alternate exterior angles. And these are the exact same thing as alternate interiors. They just happen to be outside the lines, but they're still on opposite sides of the transversal. Okay, so opposite sides of the transversal, outside. So we're looking at 2 and 8, opposite sides of the transversal, outside, and 1 and 7. So this would be angle 2 and angle 8, angle 1 and angle 7. And again, they come in pairs. All right, so that brings us down to the bottom pairs, which are called consecutive interior angles, otherwise known as CIAs. So consecutive means the same side of the transversal. So consecutive is like in a row. So same side inside, same side inside. Okay, so let's go up and find those. Same side inside would be 3 and 6 and 4 and 5. Same side of the transversal inside. So this is going to be angles 3 and angles 6 and then angle 4 is paired with angle 5. So they come in pairs. And the last set is consecutive exterior angles. These are not listed in the book, but we will still use them. I call them CEAs for consecutive exterior angles. These are same side outside, same side outside, same side of the transversal outside. So 1 with 8 and 2 with 7. So angle 1 and angle 8, and then angle 2 and angle 7. And again, they come in pairs. Okay, so we're going to flip your page over to the next page, and we're going to practice calling these by name. At first, they're very awkward because you don't know the names, but as we learn the names, then they'll become easier, and then we're going to look for a relationship with them. Okay, so I'm going to do the harder example with you, and then you'll go back up and do number 1 in just a second. So the first thing it wants us to do is identify the transversal that connects the angle pair. Each pair of angles will sit up against a line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight my lines in different colors. So I'm going to make one line orange, and then I'm going to make another line yellow, and then I'm going to make another line pink. So that way, when I'm referring to this with a color, whoa, that was a really bad line. Okay. I'll tell you which the transversal color is that they're sitting up against. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go and locate 3 and 8. So 3 is here, and 8 is here. So what you have to ask yourself is what color line is 3 and 8 both sitting up against? There's only one line that they both sit up against, and that's this pink line right here. So we're going to call the transversal N. Then what we're going to do is we are going to decide what kind of pair those are. So what you're going to do is ask yourself, are 3 and 8 on the same side of the transversal or on different sides? So they are on different sides, so that's opposite sides. And then are 3 and 8 are they on the inside or the outside of the yellow and orange lines? So 3 and 8 are on the outside. So now you have to ask yourself, what name can you use for opposite sides and outside the lines? So if you flip back to the front, you might see this name. Opposite sides are alternate, and then outside the lines are exteriors. These are alternate exterior pairs. Opposite sides of the line outside, opposite sides of the transversal outside the two lines. Okay, let's try another one. 2 with 5. So look at 2 and 5 and look for a line that they both sit up against. It's still the pink one, so your transversal is still N. Now you have to ask yourself, the 2 and the 5, are they on the same side of the pink line or on different sides? Same side. And then are they inside or outside? Well, one's in and one's out, right? 2 is inside the orange and the yellow, but 5 is outside the orange and yellow. So these are called correspondings. Correspondings are on the same side, but one's in and one's out. Same side, one in, one out. Okay, let's look at 12 and 1. Here's 12, here's 1. Ooh, they sit up against a new transversal. So notice that 12 and 1 both sit up against the yellow. That is line P. So the transversal is P. All right, 12 and 1. Are they on the same side of the yellow line or not? No, they're on different sides of the yellow line. One's inside and one's outside. Okay, do we have a name for that? If we go back to the front, did we have any name where they were on different sides of the transversal, but one's in and one's out? We did not have a name like that. So you can say none, or I'll let you say garbage if you want, because it's more fun to say. They don't have a name, so sometimes I call them the garbage angles, just for fun. But the real name is, there is no name. Those are the non-name pair. We just don't have a name for those, so you don't have to know that. They still had a transversal, just no name. Okay, part D, 7 and 5. Okay, now 7 and 5 are in the same little pod. So if you are in the same little pod, then you have an old name that we learned earlier in the year. Those are vertical angles. They do not change. You do not need a transversal for vertical angles, so I'm going to X out the transversal name. No name there, and just say vertical. And by the way, we know by the VAC theorem, or vertical angle theorem, that those would be congruent. Okay, let's look at 9 and 1. 9 and 1 sit up against transversal P, the yellow transversal. 9 and 1 are on opposite sides of the transversal, so that is like alternate. And then 9 and 1 are both inside the pink and the orange. So these would be alternate interiors. Okay, next, 11 and 10. Oh, 11 and 10 are in the same pod. That's not one of the new names. One of the new names would have to be from each pod, but we have them in the same one. So that's an old name. That's a linear pair. That will not have a transversal. No transversals necessary for linear pairs. And we call that by its old name, linear pair. So you have old names mixed with new names. Okay, two more. So G is going to be 4 and 8. So look at 4 and look at 8. They both sit up against this transversal that is pink. That is transversal N. Now you have to ask yourself, are 4 and 8 on the same side of the pink line or on different sides? They're on the same side, which is going to be consecutive or corresponding. 4 is outside the yellow and the orange, and 8 is outside the yellow and the orange. So they're both the same side, but they're both outside. So those are called consecutive exteriors, which again are not shown in your book, but we're going to use them anyway. Last set, 10 and 7. Okay, 10 and 7 both sit up against this transversal that is orange. 10 and 7 have transversal M because they both touch that orange transversal. Now we're going to ask ourselves what kind they are. So 10 and 7 are both on the same side of the orange transversal. So they're going to be either consecutive or corresponding, but they're both inside because look at your yellow and your pink. 10's on the inside of the yellow and 7's on the inside of the pink. So this is consecutive interior. So now what you're going to do is you are going to go up to the top and you are going to try these questions and then you're going to check it with the answer key.